Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, depending on when you're listening to this. This is the Pat Chat Weekend Update covering futures. Some interesting stuff in the crude oil markets this week. We're seeing prices really kind of base above the top of one of Mike's channels. We'll see what Mike thinks about that when we get to the charting part. In terms of the news in crude oil, Iraq is calling for another OPEC meeting. Iraq, it's interesting that Iraq is unsatisfied with the oil prices where they are, and they're the ones pushing for a new meeting. So that implies an extension of the current production cuts out of OPEC, or maybe worse than that, an increase, worse than that in terms of the barrels in oil, an increase in the amount of barrels that will be cut. And the interesting part about this for me is that Iraq is actually one of the underperformers in terms of reaching their production cut. OPEC is now at 91% of their promised production cut. Remember, that production cut was supposed to be an average over the next 6 months, and we're now at the end of month 2, and they're already 91% of the way there. That is an achievement for OPEC. They've never had this kind of concerted effort to work together on something like this. But Saudi Arabia has cut by more than they said they would, and that's really what's carrying the day in terms of the overall compliance. Again, Iraq is one of the largest quote-unquote cheaters, and they're the ones calling for a new meeting, unsatisfied with where crude oil prices are. We have speculators, as long as they've ever been, largest number of longs in speculators on record. We've got very strong activity in rig counts, 10 new horizontal rigs added during the week. Only 3 of those were crude. The other 7 were natural gas. So that's a little bit on the bullish side, but the continued increase of horizontal drilling rigs, which everyone knows as shale rigs, continues. And U.S. production is now above 9 million barrels a day for the first time since the fall in prices started, basically 2015. So that's crude oil. In terms of the equities, Mike is going to cover the S&P, the Nasdaq, and the Dow. And as of Friday, 53 days without a 1% move in either direction. Now, Thursday on the Nasdaq, from high to low, it was down 0.9%, so almost got there. But Friday was the 53rd session in a row, and that's the longest span since 2007. And the record for that is 60. So that's when that happened, was 2006 to 2007. It was November 2006 through February of 2007. VIX is still pretty low. So let me turn it over to Mike to let you guys know what he's seeing on the charts.
Okay, thank you, Bob. First off, I want to point out this is a weekly crude chart. Here was the open after the gap down, and if you look all the way over here, that's providing pretty critical resistance. Should we get above this level, and I'll zoom in on the daily chart, but should we get really a close above the 54.90 level, I'm looking for the gap fill, which would take us to the 56.93 and then eventually to an end of a clear path move, which would take us to 58.84. To get a little more specific now on the daily, we had the significant level. We finally closed above it, but we're keep running into this key resistance. We have a lot of resistance between the 54.64 to the 55.24 levels. You can see I have also some GAN levels up here. We're looking at 54.64, 55.07, then 55.50 as some key upside GAN levels. Should we turn lower? We are getting support now from the rising rotation zone, so you can watch from support near Friday's low, support around the 53.50 level. Then we have a longer-term rising trend line in here. So you're going to watch for around support around the 53 level. Those are key things in the crude market. It's been caught in this horizontal channel back since November. It's now up at the top and closing above these key levels, but it can't seem to get some momentum. So we're going to have to keep watching for that. If we switch over to the futures markets, the S&P, we have some other key GAN levels higher. We rode down to the rising 8 on Friday and then rallied strongly into the close. Our next key level, should we get above Thursday's high, which was 2367.50, the next key level we're looking at is 2380. That's a key GAN level higher. Beyond that, we have 2393.25. If we sell off, again, watch for support around Friday's low, which comes in at the 8. If we do get a close above the 8, we theoretically could come down and test a 21 rising, which is also in conjunction with this trend line. So that's going to be support. Nasdaq. We came down on Friday and tested a key GAN level, 52.9734. We're still in this rising wedge pattern. Watch for the support around those Friday lows, followed by this upward sloping channel line. Then if we get above Thursday's high of 53.6125, my next key level in the Nasdaq is not till 54.25. That's going to be my next projected price level there. Finally, in the Dow, and this is just the cash Dow index, not the futures, we have the next levels higher in that should we continue to rally. We're looking at around 2990, followed by 21,027 are the next two levels higher. Key support's going to come in right around the 2675 area. And then if we break below that, watch for the 2560 level. If we happen to get any day that actually pulls back. If you see here, this has gone on a tear. Here was the election. We ran up, then we consolidated going into the end of the year. We finally broke above that, and now we're at another major run up higher. The next major area, if we continue higher, of resistance is not, it's really going to be this partial measured move, which comes in around that 2100 to 2130 level. That's where I'm looking for key levels up there. That's all I have for you in the futures, crude, and S&P and NASDAQ and Dow. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Mike. I went over the entire economic calendar in our FX weekend update, so that'll be posted as well. And if you want to just hear the economic calendar and you're not into forex, just listen to the first part of that and then switch back over to what it is that you want to hear. Also, new Money Path podcast is up. We do a review of the Naked Chicken Chalupa, which is kind of fun, as well as covering all our typical market conversation. Check out the Money Path podcast. Type Money Path podcast into your iTunes search bar or get it at our website, pathtradingpartners.com. Click the like button in this video and then also click the subscribe button. And when that little bell pops up, click that so that YouTube sends you an alert when we post a new video. Again, these videos are time sensitive. Like us on Facebook, Path Trading Partners, and follow us on Twitter, Path_trading. And thanks again for watching. Cheers, guys. Talk to you soon.